Hey everyone, it's Bob
and Doops
from Better Music here with a fuzz pedal shootout / review / overview. We're going to have a look at some of our favourites in store. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Doops because this guy's like the authority on fuzz. So take it away, mate.
So today we're going to be having a look at the Roofus Reloaded, the classic Big Muff USA, and the Wampler Fuzztration, which is a bit of a new one that we've just got in. A couple of these have some Octavia options, which we'll have a look towards the end, but we'll be shooting through just some sampled fuzz sounds initially. Some of them have a few characteristics that are similar, but some are kind of completely different, so we'll talk about them. So first we're going to have a look at the USA Big Muff. So a lot of you would already have this or have at least tried it. It's kind of the vanilla ice cream of fuzzes. Everyone's had it.
You've certainly heard it. If you haven't seen one or played one, you've certainly heard it.
It's easy. It's a great fuzz if you're looking for that low-end saturation. You see it a lot on Pink Floyd stuff, White Stripes, and just the way that they use it is generally to make those kind of long, drony, kind of fat, filling out the kind of the mix really well, and it's awesome for that. It stacks really well as well. A lot of people use EQs or drives with it really effectively. It doesn't clean up a whole heap. That's one of the characteristics of it, but it sounds so good on, so it's kind of like that's
as a fuzz pedal, why would you want to clean up a fuzz pedal? It's the whole idea of it, right?
A lot of you would have seen all the different variants of the Big Muff. There's the Russian, Sovtek,
the op amp. The op amp is the Smashing Pumpkins kind of one. That classic Billy Corgan sound.
And it's switchable too, so you can switch it back to that kind of pie kind of thing, which is what this is.
There's also the pie one.
Which is awesome.
There's the pie one. There's the minis. There's all sorts.
And all of them are a little bit different. I mean, when you go to like the PCB kind of base nano models, they're really good in the sense that they're small and they sound great and they're really affordable.
Yep.
But they do change. And kind of why we picked this one is really I feel like this is the easiest one to kind of sit in mixes. It sounds the best out of the box. Like it's so good price point wise. It's USA built still. And really those kind of fine tunings on the board itself kind of mean that like the proximity of the circuit means that it sounds as close to the originals I think as they get, to be honest.
Woolly. Man, that is hectic.
The next one we're going to have a look at is the Fuzztration by Wampler. Now this is really cool, it's a new one, and I think out of all these three, it really covers probably the most ground. It's got 2 fuzz circuits in it, a lot of different kind of frequencies, and I think a lot of different genres. That's probably the most impressive thing about it. It can be really compressed and tight. You can kind of push that kind of smoother clipping, which these two cover a lot more, but what it can do is probably go a little bit harder. It can kind of push into that kind of fuzz factory kind of thing.
But almost that doom kind of, you're taking into the heavier doom sort of stuff.
Totally, like super sludgy. More sound and noise rather than guitar, which is cool. Like that's totally legit.
If that's your bag.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, the EQ on it really does allow a lot of tone shaping.
It is super responsive, that EQ. That's one thing when we were setting up, the EQ for this was super responsive, especially what I find the most challenging with fuzz pedals myself is the mid. The mid control. Being a sort of a rock or a metal player, you're kind of used to that articulation that the mids bring. Only the mids bring it. So to have a mid control that with that much adjustment and that much control is just awesome. I think it'll suit, as you said, a wide variety of players.
And I think that tight switch, which you can either pick tight or open, I think that affects the EQ in such a huge way, and the output of the pedal itself as well. The way that you can kind of make it less compressed so that if you are stacking or you are running compressors or your amp is really tight, then that suits a lot of different players as well. Like that's a big thing.
100%.
Something that the Big Muff in itself probably lacks is that EQ. So it is nice that is a little bit more.
Let's say it's a way more refined fuzz than this. This is this is a bit more uncouth.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then having that octave option. Now this isn't like sort of your traditional octave. It's an Octavia circuit, so that it is going to be kind of imperfect in a really nice way. It is going to be kind of ring moddy. You can put it pre and post, which is a really cool feature. I really dig that. Being a really big Octavia fan myself, like you really sometimes want that pronounced octave, so you can put it post and then pre. It's kind of more subtle.
And then even playing when you wind the volume down, as we did before, you wind the volume down on the guitar. We'll show you in the video example. It gets the octave becomes so much more pronounced.
Yeah, totally.
But it also it highlights that almost that ring modulator kind of sound that you get when you start to play like chords and triads and things. It becomes almost unruly, but in a really cool way. Yeah.
And like when you start doing like multiple note bends, that's when that really cool kind of crisp kind of high end pokes out, and it can make for some really cool kind of effects within like a solo.
Way more texture to your playing, and that's another thing. It's not just adding this big blanket of fluff and wool over your sound. It's adding so much more to your tone and your playing, and it changes the way you play. Like you'll hear when I play, I'm not playing what I normally do, or if I am, it feels different because of the response. The finger,
you have to play to the pedal, and that's
exactly. You know what? That is 100% right. You play to the pedal.
Yeah, and that's fuzz in general, but I think like there are certain fuzzes like this one where you really have to edit your playing. You have to play to the sustain of the note, because like that sustain is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And it will get mushy. Like, single notes can be as fat as a chord with a fuzz, and that's the awesome thing about them. But at the same time, you need to be mindful, because if you're playing in a mix with a band, with bass frequencies and keys and drums,
you just get lost.
You're going to get lost. So having like an octave that pokes you out in such a cool way, that really I think it's like one of the coolest things about fuzz, to be honest.
Yeah. Tumbleweed. So last but not least, Doops.
The Rufus Reloaded. Now this is kind of like a new favorite of mine. I have a lot of fuzzes. But yeah, this one's kind of blown me away. It's got a ton of output, which is very cool with fuzzes. A lot of the time, like I would say that this kind of errs on a more sort of fuzz face. It's a bit smoother clipping than a lot of these two. Even though they're kind of that silicon kind of circuit, this one is a lot more like sort of easy to swallow, which is fantastic. But at the same time, like this thing can rip your head off with volume.
It can.
And it's awesome. Like it's really punchy. I think this retains, out of all of these, it retains the guitar tone probably the best.
Yeah.
The way that you can kind of clean it off, you can really kind of get that subtle overdrive or that almost clean tone just with sustain.
Well, that I'll just touch on that, because something that we discovered about the pedal, and it's something that we knew, but like when we actually did it, the difference it made is when the pedal's on, you'll see there's a green light. You'll see there's a green light. If you hold the pedal down, it becomes red, and that engages the Octavia.
Yeah,
but it also changes the sound so much. It gives you this completely different spectrum of sound.
Yeah, and that's because of their cool proprietary like switching system that it actually recalls the EQ and levels of the previous setting.
Yeah.
So whatever you've set that red mode to before, even when you're in green mode and you're changing it, you switch back to the red mode, it's that previous setting, which is really cool if you're switching on the fly and you've got those levels set, because there is a difference of level when you add an octave.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It's a frequency level.
It's not so much like a boost, like a clean boost, but because there's so much more frequency getting through, through, there's an appearance of volume.
Totally.
And yeah, like if you looked at it like a wave like this, you engage it and it smooths the wave out. But there's not much more going on, but there's just more frequency. So that in itself was a really, really great feature. That and being able to hold it down and go between green and red mode.
On the fly.
But the other thing I'm going to touch on, because this is something I really love about Suhr pedals, these dual function mode here on the back, and in the B-roll we'll get this on the back, there's an effects link here. You plug out of that into like a loop switcher, like an ES5 or a Boss MS3, whatever you've got, into that, and you can actually select which mode you want to be in. So if you've got it in a separate loop in your switcher, you can say, okay, in this patch I want the green, but the next patch I want the red. You don't even have to touch the pedal; it's just there, it's done. That is a great feature.
And because of that recall thing, you don't have to worry about levels. You don't have to bend down and touch it, which is a really cool thing.
It is.
Aside from the fact that soft switching on it is epic. Like it's just great.
Suhr switches are like come in and try one. Just come into the store and press the buttons. They're so cool. But another really great feature of this pedal that I can see is form factor. Like you look at the size of this pedal, this is such a big pedal. Like that takes up a lot of real estate. That one there is your regular sort of dual button sized pedal, I guess. Think like classic MXRs and things like that. It's that size.
And I think going off the 2 circuits it's got, it's doing well for the size.
Absolutely, absolutely. But this is it's so pedal board friendly. It really is.
To finish it off, we're just going to have a quick play out of those Octavias. I think they've really said a lot for themselves in that play out, that they're just versatile.
The versatility in them, look, especially the Suhr and the Wampler, the versatility is there. But there's something to be said for the old world charm of a
the thing is, man,
old world charm.
The thing is with Fuzz, you can have all three happily, and really you not having any redundancy really. Like there is different characteristics that makes you play differently. And that's awesome. That's very
totally.
cool, man.
All right, let's do this Octavia thing because I'm frothing to do this. All right. So I'm going to start nice and low with the volume so we can hear it.
Fuzztration.
So much sustain. Just hear it there on the end. There it is.
Especially in that neck pickup. You get a free ring mod with it.
Very cool. All right, so into red mode. Let's get frothy. It's even changing the way I bend. Like I'm feeling like I'm playing differently, but
Totally.
I'm just gonna.
Like that's the bass maxed out and the mids backed off, and that's still very mid and punchy.
There's so much
like,
articulation, yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Just
play down the neck too, because it does track that low end really well. That's really uncommon. Yeah, that's awesome.
I just love that. Yeah, wow.
That one's cool.
Yeah.
That's my pick.
You know what? It's oh man, you're right. You'd be happy with all three, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I must admit that is the most fun as far as like under the fingers. That one feels the most fun, but I think the versatility of the Wampler certainly puts it up there as well.
I think the EQ is a lot larger on this one.
Absolutely.
However, I would say that the Rufus retains the guitar itself a lot more.
Yep.
Like I
wasn't doing much. Like I just had the neck pickup and I was winding the volume back and forth.
And I think I can hear the guitar still there. And I think that's probably a testament to both of how they're built and the quality that they are, is that they really do what they do really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Both soft switching. I should say that the Fuzztration, you can run 18 volt, which is going to change how much gain it has. It's going to clean it up a little bit, which isn't probably a bad thing with this one, because it can be pretty unruly, especially if you want that more classic, smooth kind of tone.
Yep.
I think maybe like you could probably push into this territory a little bit more with the voltage.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you would have to think that everything becomes a little bit more active.
Totally,
for lack of a better term.
And a little bit more open as well. Like it's that age-old thing, power into fuzz. You know, a lot of people use batteries.
Oh, well, there's the talk of using like half flat batteries into
totally.
And that's there's even to a point now where power supplies have a voltage,
a sag. Yeah,
a sag, just so you can actually get that vintage kind of vibe out of it.
Totally.
Yeah,
I am one of those dudes, so I'm not gonna like.
I knew it. I knew you were. No, that's cool. Look, these have been actually really eye opening. Look, I'm going to preface here. I'm not a fuzz guy at all. I'm really not. We often have arguments at the counter about fuzz, but look, it certainly opened my eyes today as a player. Now, like I've gone in completely, with no. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the blinders are off now, and I've gone in and looked at them all. I can appreciate them all. I love what they do. So thank you so much. You've actually taught me stuff here today as well, which is really cool. I love it.
We're all about education.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bob.
I'm Doops.
If you have any questions or comments, hit us up in the comments below. You can sales@bettermusic.com.au or come and see us in store. Come and press these buttons. They're so nice. Thanks again. Rock on.
See ya.